On today's episode, we're going to talk about how to reinforce company goals, processes, initiatives, and actually get them to stick. I know with us, man, this is something that we struggle with. To be completely transparent with our audience, I think we have a lot of ideas and we roll stuff out, and getting them to stick and to get employee buy-in, I think is a hard thing to do. What are some things that, hell, we can take our own coaching and, do it for our own company?
When you just did the opening there, I was like, I don't know if we're the best people to talk about this right now.
Well, this is us being vulnerable, man.
We've tried so many different things over the last, 4.5, 5 years, and not all of them are sticking. And then when you look on how you roll those things out, whether it's goals, processes, initiatives, you can shoot bullets through nearly all of them. And I think some of the mistakes, and I think that's, where I can focus this conversation, is like the mistakes we've made and why they were mistakes. Because when you start growing, you have to build out more like structures and processes.
Sure.
SOPs.
Yeah.
I hate that word, but more SOPs.
Yeah.
It's because you have more people, there's a lot more moving pieces, and people need that structure so that they can focus on their goals.
Right.
And do what their job entails.
Yeah.
But where we've made mistakes is we grew significantly the first few years.
Yeah.
And we didn't have those things in place. And so now when we're trying, last couple of years, we're trying to make these changes for the better, and we have good intentions, but it's how we're rolling them out and executing them that where we failed.
You're absolutely right. And I think that even with the SOP front, I think we look at it, we're both sales-minded individuals. We look at it from a perspective of, okay, this SOP is not generating any revenue, so why am I working on it? That is something that, in our business, I think we have to do a better job with in certain areas. I think we have a sales SOP. We have a client retention SOP.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah. But I think, the back end processes, I think that's something that we've kind of pieced together over time, and we've used it, from our experience. A couple things that I think that we can also learn and also share with our audience is, I think this, our society today is different than it was 10, 12, 15 years ago, where how are we communicating? How are we rolling these things out? And how many touches do our sales employees or all of our employees need until something is a habit or something is the standard? And I think, a lot of it, I've been a part of a lot of organizations where they roll something out and then it changes in 6 weeks. And then it's like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be focused on that? What am I doing here? And I think, for us, like one thing that we can learn, one thing that we can do a better job of is if we roll out an initiative, we take it through, a quarter, and then we communicate that. And we say, hey, listen, for the first quarter, our initiative is X, and here's what we're going to do to achieve this number by a certain date. I think sometimes like we have a lot of great ideas and we might, roll those things out too often. And I think, that's kind of a good and bad thing, because, we talk about the ideas often and what we can do and how we can get better. And we're always trying to strive for success. But I think sometimes it does fall on deaf ears because of the fact that, we don't execute everything the way that we should.
You referred to this, when you just mentioned that, but you're managing, this day and age,
different set of people,
3 different generations.
Sure.
Of employees or the workforce, and they all learn different ways. And where I failed is I know why we're making the change. You and I, we'll discuss it. We decide, this is definitely something we need to adjust or build out. We'll send it out, or we'll do like a demo or presentation, send out an email, and then there's no follow through from the team. It's like, why aren't they, that would work for me. I get it. I know this process.
Yeah.
But I'm also, the one that helped build it.
Yeah.
And I'm also the one that like sent the email out or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you and I might know it, but it's not sticking for everyone else. So you have to reflect on, where are we missing? How does our workforce learn, or how do they want to learn? And over the last couple of years, more so than any, you had these issues, and there's a number of issues that we've uncovered the past 5 years, and some are higher priority than others. So I'm sure you're familiar with SMART goals, SMART goal
Oh yeah.
planning.
Oh yeah.
Are they actually like relevant? Are they achievable? Is there a set timeline for them? Are they specific? Are they measurable? You reference SMART goals to any initiative, any goal, any process you want to roll out. And if it's not relevant, well, why would it stick?
Right.
If we're trying to roll out a new process that doesn't apply to really anyone but two people,
Sure.
That's not going to stick.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. If you're trying to roll out a new process that you're given a 1 week timeline to execute on, but really it's a 2 month timeline, well, it's going to fail. You're setting that new process up for failure. So there's a lot of things that we've done and tried to execute on that we just failed on.
Right.
What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it is a different generation, just like you mentioned. I think it is, people handle things in a certain way, and I think a level of expectation has to be there. I referenced this a little bit ago, but I used to have I have a friend that's a sales manager, and what she used to do was anybody that was in the organization and they were in the organization from day one until, the 2-year mark, she would have these tests. And one of the expectations of her managing style is if she sent an email to that person, they need to have a response to her within 45 minutes. Now, it's not outside the hours of 8 to 5. Everything's within the day, but an email response back to her within 45 minutes, you check the box. And she would send out some of these emails or send out some of these tests every now and then to some of the people that weren't as engaged. And this within our industry, you have to be available. You have to be reading your emails all the time because there might be new opportunities from customers or clients to make more money in your inbox. So one thing she would do, and I don't know all the details to be exact, but I would imagine she has like a 3-strike system where if you don't reply within 45 minutes, she puts your name down, and that's a red flag to her, which I think is great. Those are the expectations. Yeah. Okay, I'm reading this email. Now I'm responding back to my boss and saying, hey, I received this. Thank you so much for sending it. And, kind of regurgitating some of that. I think there's also in this day and age and some of the strategies that I've heard that have worked well. And I think they work well with some of the folks on our team, but having saying it verbally, hey, we're going to roll out a new process. It's actually going to start March 1st. Be on the lookout for some information, right? Like saying it verbally gives them kind of a heads up or some runway. And then that email that comes out is going to land a little bit better, and you're going to have a better retention rate from those folks that, are receiving it. I also think that, execution of that on a daily basis. Hey, here's what's going on, verbally telling them, sending an email out so they can read it. And then also, executing that on a daily basis and what they can do and how they can help the team. That's a way that we can help. And now, is it 100% foolproof? It's not, but I think that's a way that we can always help out our individuals and achieve the goals that we want. Because we might set these lofty goals throughout the year, but hell, if we're not executing on the tasks each week, we're not going to achieve, what you want, especially in our industry.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said around like individual goals or someone needing to establish an individual process that they might be struggling with compared to a company initiative or process that's high priority. Yeah. And, even then, reflecting back on where we may have failed on these, it's, the email, the repetitive announcements or like verbal touches like you're referring to, the company meeting, because everyone knows this by now, but we live in a highly distracted world.
Very.
There's one thing when I send an email and I get frustrated because 60% of our employees didn't do what we asked them to do.
Sure.
There's another thing when, you might be doing a same announcement on a Monday morning and you see, a handful of faces and other people are buried in their desks. There's another thing when we have a company meeting.
Please don't mention that. You're going to get me fired up.
Where we present on it. And then there's another thing when like you had, I don't know, there's multiple touches that you can do. The thing is the execution, the follow through and explaining why, okay, here's what change we're making. Yeah. Here's why we're making it. And here's how it impacts you. I think that carries a lot of weight because if we're up there talking about AR and we have a newer sales rep that's like,
I'm not billing any clients.
I'm not billing any,
3 clients right now.
Yeah. And then, a month down the road, he pops off and his AR is atrocious. Well, you have to tie it to why that is important to them and why it's important to the company. Yeah. It impacts you and this is how it impacts the company.
Yeah.
So when they're just refusing to take action on something that we're pushing as a company, it's a problem.
I think there are some times like where, we'll send stuff out or we'll communicate and there won't be a ton of response. Or, I think that we do that from the expectation piece of like, hey, we're giving you this information. I need you to read it and act on it, as opposed to you coming over to my desk and being extremely inefficient, right? Like, I always love to answer questions. At the same time, like, I just spent 12 minutes typing up this email for you to read. And then why are you coming over to ask me another question about it? Now we're 19 minutes deep on the same, like, I think from an efficiency perspective and the way to do that, I think, as anybody who's a leader listening to this show, I think that's a way that they can help themselves and, buy back their time, which is a phenomenal book by Daniel Coase. But
yes, it is. Let's talk about something else. We've rolled out a few incentives.
Yep.
They weren't, a huge priority for you and I, but they're a big priority for everyone else. We've tried a few of those here and there the past couple of years, and we shot ourselves in the foot.
I try to forget what the names are. What were some of those names?
It's not. I don't want to just talk about it.
No. Well, for one thing that we're referring to is, we tried a couple things called summer hours, and it's flexibility with individuals in the company that are performing. Right. So if you're not performing, you don't get this flexibility. But the summer hour is, you get to dictate or you get to leave at 3:00 on specific days in the summer. Now that's if your revenue metrics are up and your, operations metrics are up.
Are you talking about the third time around?
No, we've only tried it twice. But
the point I want to get. So like, people want it. We listen to feedback. People want some more flexibility.
Yep.
We're in a hybrid world apparently now.
Yep.
We offer the flexibility, but where I think you and I struggled is, like, it wasn't really an incentive for us.
Sure.
It was for our people.
Yeah.
And we didn't figure out the details or like make sure it was rock solid before we rolled it out.
Agreed.
We just kept saying, we're going to offer flexibility. We're going to do, remote work.
Yeah.
And then we just like, yeah, sure, Wednesdays it is, or Fridays it is.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, hold on. Why are there's some people that should be in the office.
Right.
But then we point at ourselves and we're like, well, shit, that's our fault.
Yeah.
It was communicated correctly. It wasn't executed with the right measurables.
For sure.
Correctly.
I agree, man. I think that's, we live and learn. And, I think that was one of the challenging things when we got a lot of pushback when we pulled off the summer hours. We said, hey, no, we're no longer doing summer hours. Got a little pushback, and it's, those are the challenging.
We took responsibility.
Yeah. Shit. I mean, we have to. I think those are, so I think we try some things out and sometimes we fall flat on our face. And I think we've done that twice, but, you live and learn.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm with you.
To recap a lot of this episode, I think, to make company goals and processes stick, I think it is, a couple of those things where you have to set the expectation, you have to execute on a daily basis, and you have to follow up with these things with our employees all the time. It's not something that it's a, set it and forget it mentality. This day and age, attention spans are, 7 seconds, and it's not going to stick with, pretty much any employee out there. So, make sure that, you're doing those things and make sure that, you're following through on a daily basis.
If this is someone I've been working for 6 to 12 months, I get an opportunity. I don't care. Like, Carly gets it, but it's painful because I don't want to miss this opportunity. In my mind, there's someone that is younger, more energetic, hungry. They were in my position, 15 years ago, but they might respond and get this opportunity where I missed it.